Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Wednesday, December 21st. I'm your host, Kate Walker. A lot of people are struggling to pay rent, especially here in Nova Scotia during an expensive holiday season. 60-year-old Geraldine Drake is one of those people feeling the pinch. She is on CPP disability. Almost 2 weeks ago, Drake was hoping for some relief when she applied to the one-time top-up to the Canada Housing Benefit, recently announced by the federal government. It aims to help low-income renters with a tax-free one-time payment of $500. People who qualify were given the opportunity to receive the money through direct deposit, as they do for other payments. But Drake was later contacted and told her check would be mailed, a stressful waiting game for those trying to pay the bills.
Very little money is spent on Christmas because I don't have the extra money. You know, I have about just over $600 a month after my subsidy rent that I put in, which is $300. So I have to pay all my bills and buy my groceries with $600.
Next to a very sad anniversary, it's been exactly 1 year since the murder of 8-year-old Marion Kane. On December 21st, 2021, police were called to a drive-by shooting in Dartmouth. A 26-year-old man was shot, and so was Marion Kane, known as Mar, who later died in hospital. Police say video footage has been key in identifying at least 2 suspects involved in the homicide and helped identify the vehicle believed to be used by the suspects. They're described as black men in their 20s to 30s who were driving a burgundy Chevrolet Traverse with tinted windows. HRP are still appealing to the public to come forward with more information. Marmar's case is part of the Reward for Major Unsolved Crimes program, which offers cash rewards of up to $150,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the people responsible for specified major unsolved crimes. As we mentioned yesterday, a storm is expected to hit Friday, which could impact holiday travel plans. Significant rain and strong winds are expected in Nova Scotia. We're following the developments this week to keep you updated on what to expect if you are one of those people who plan to be on the roads or catching a flight. We're going to check in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders, to see what we know so far.
Thanks, Kate. Well, certainly not ideal timing for this storm arriving on Friday, continuing into Christmas Eve. A lot of people will be traveling during that period. And obviously there is concern, too, for power outages, as there will be very intense winds with the system. And this is going to be a very large storm as it develops over the Midwestern U.S. and into the Great Lakes region. It's going to impact much of Eastern Canada and the Northeast U.S. So if you are traveling even just outside of Atlantic Canada towards, say, Quebec and Ontario, the Northeast U.S., do prepare for travel disruptions in those provinces if you're traveling by land or air, as they are expecting significant wind and, in some cases, blizzard conditions by Friday night. But here in Atlantic Canada, in Nova Scotia, this is likely to be mostly a rain and wind event. There could be some wet flakes initially on the leading edges of the system, but I think mainly over Cape Breton. Then we see the rain developing from west to east. Friday, late morning in the southwest, reaching eastern Nova Scotia into Cape Breton Friday night. The worst of the storm will be Friday late evening and overnight. We will see intense rain and wind. And then some good news in relation to the timing. Looks like it could be out of here a bit faster, starting to clear southwestern Nova Scotia Saturday morning, so Christmas Eve morning, and clearing eastern Nova Scotia by Saturday afternoon. So that is a bit of good news. It could open another travel window as we progress throughout the day on Christmas Eve. Behind the system, I do expect temperatures to fall, and we could see some flurries or patches of light snow. I don't think it will have a big concern for travel on those days, but certainly something to keep in mind as the storm approaches. Rainfall likely to be in the range of 20 to 40 millimeters, but 40 up to 60 plus millimeters certainly likely over much of Nova Scotia. An intense east and southeast winds gusting 80 up to 110 kilometers per hour, most likely right now. We could see some higher gusts, and I'm thinking mainly in the Cape Breton Highlands where they get the terrain enhancement. We could see winds approaching or even exceeding 130 kilometers per hour. Also some concern for the high tide that's going to be in place. We will be seeing large waves, and there is the potential for storm surge on south-facing coastlines during this event. So that is something we need to closely monitor with this storm. Not a great time for it to arrive. Certainly going to be messy if you are traveling. So do take care. Maybe leave a bit early if you can, maybe tomorrow or early Friday morning. And then you do have another window of opportunity later in the day, Saturday and on Christmas Day. And of course, keeping a very close eye on this, and we'll continue to have updates here on SaltWire today.
And we'll check back in with Alistair in the weather section for your Halifax forecast tonight heading into tomorrow. Accused serial pedophile Ernest Fenwick McIntosh won't be able to countersue his victims. McIntosh, a former Port Hawkesbury businessman, was convicted of 14 counts related to the sexual assaults of 9 boys during 2 trials in 2010. Those charges were later stayed by the Nova Scotia Court of Appeal on the basis that despite the fact he had refused to come back to Canada from India to face the charges, resulting in a lengthy delay due to the need to extradite him, his charter right to a timely trial had been violated. 6 of his alleged victims are suing him. McIntosh tried to countersue the men in January, alleging their claims against him defamed his character. But in a decision yesterday, a Supreme Court of Nova Scotia justice refused McIntosh's application to countersue. After the Nova Scotia Court of Appeal quashed the lower court conviction of McIntosh in 2015, he traveled to Nepal. He was arrested there after complaints he had abused children at an orphanage and served some 3 years in prison. Football fans, this one is for you. The CFL Touchdown Atlantic game will be hosted in Halifax this coming July. The Saskatchewan Roughriders and Toronto Argonauts will be matching up for a second consecutive appearance in the Maritime Touchdown Atlantic game. They were just here over the summer and competed on the Raymond Field at Acadia in Wolfville. The CFL announced the defending 2022 Grey Cup champion Argonauts will face the Riders in the regular season matchup on Saturday, July 29th at the St. Mary's Huskies Stadium in Halifax. Kickoff is 5 p.m. Ticket details for Touchdown Atlantic 2023 will be announced in the new year. It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with Andrew Wallace about the Nova Scotia Firefighters 50-50 draw and the $1 million jackpot.
When last year's jackpot first crept up over $1 million, tell me a little bit about what was going through your mind and through the folks who've been organizing this, because that was a monumental point in a 1 week to collect more than $1 million to give back half of that to the winner and divide up the rest for the fire departments.
Yeah, that really cemented the legitimacy of what we were doing. Nobody expected that was going to happen. We knew from other fundraisers and other groups that Christmas time, obviously Nova Scotians are very generous. We'd have big sales, it would be a big number. But when it hit that $1 million on Thursday afternoon, it just went viral, like there's no other term for it. And then all of a sudden it was going $10,000, $15,000 a minute. So, it was unreal. But I think that really cemented us as a real solid fundraiser, just like the QE2 lottery and Christmas Daddies. I think, it really legitimized what we're all about.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of saltwire.com. Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
Ellen Lawrence is a forward with the St. Mary's University Huskies women's hockey team, and we took some time to talk about the holidays. Ellen, what are some holiday traditions that you have, and what are you looking forward to most over the holidays?
For the most part, I am looking forward to the break and just being able to spend time with my family. Usually our Christmas consists of like the 3 days, Christmas Eve, Christmas, and Boxing Day. So we typically just have a small family get together on the 24th, followed by another on the 25th. We don't do our dinner on that day though, just because of my other cousins being with their grandparents. So we just do a little steak fondue and cheese fondue that day. But then the Boxing Day is our big Christmas dinner, so I'll be looking forward to that.
What's that one thing at Christmas dinner that you can't wait to taste off your plate?
I would definitely have to say the stuffing with some gravy. I would say that those are my big thing. However, my aunt also makes these sweet potato, almost like mashed sweet potatoes, and they're pretty good.
Last one for you. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
I am a huge fan of Christmas Vacation. I would say that that's probably my top tier movie.
Nailed it. Nothing like non-nutritive cereal varnish, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree. That would probably top my list as well. Well, Ellen, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Hope you have a wonderful, happy, healthy holiday season with you and all your family. And good luck in the second half with the St. Mary's Huskies Women's Hockey Club.
Thank you.
In Halifax, I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Everybody come on, quick, look at the lights!
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now. To see what's coming up in the forecast, we're going to check back in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders.
Hi again, Kate. Well, that cloud cover is still very stubborn today, but the sunshine was trying to break through, and it was making a bit of progress today. Certainly brighter out here today compared to yesterday, and we're looking at a pretty nice day on the way for tomorrow. This evening, we will have mainly cloudy skies and the temperature near -1 and waking up near -3 on Thursday morning with a mix of sun and cloud. As we go into the afternoon, lots of sunshine forecast and the temperature heading up to a high of 2 degrees. Light winds are forecast tonight throughout the day on our Thursday. And then, of course, attention shifts to the storm that we've been talking about that will develop here in the Halifax area Friday afternoon, continuing Friday night with intense rain and wind, winds gusting 90 up to 110 kilometers per hour, rainfall of 20 up to 40, maybe even 60 millimeters. We could also see some storm surge on south-facing coastlines. The good news is the timing of the system has sped up somewhat, so it's out of here likely later on Saturday morning into the afternoon, opening up another window of opportunity for travel maybe later in the day on Saturday and certainly on Christmas Day. Kate.
Thank you, Alistair. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to saltwire.com. And you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.